Imagine two identical twins, born the same day, same family, same house, same school. One grows up to be a millionaire. The other never breaks the poverty cycle. Same DNA, same starting point, completely different destinations. How is that possible? Harv Eker spent over 2 decades studying this question. Not from a university, not from a theory, from real conversations with thousands of wealthy people and thousands of struggling ones sitting in the same rooms, asking the same questions, watching the same patterns emerge again and again. His conclusion was simple, and it will change the way you see everything. If you're not doing as well as you'd like, it's simply because you don't know enough about yourself and about money. This video is the complete breakdown of his book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Every idea, every framework, every moment that will make you stop and look at your own life differently. No filler, no fluff, just the architecture of wealth laid bare. Part 1. Your Money Blueprint. The Root Problem. Every book about money talks about strategy, budgeting, investing, real estate, stocks, and most people read those books and still end up in the same place years later. Why? Because they're fixing the fruit. And the problem is, in the root, Eker uses the metaphor of a tree. Your financial results, your income, your debt, your savings, those are the fruit. Visible, measurable, easy to focus on, but the root, the invisible system of thoughts, beliefs, and emotional patterns running underneath. That's what's actually producing everything you see. And until you change the root, the fruit will keep coming out the same way, no matter how many strategies you try on top of it. He calls this root your financial blueprint. Think of it as a thermostat. If a room is set to 70 degrees and you open a window in winter, the room gets cold temporarily, but the thermostat kicks in. The heater fires up, and within minutes the room is back to 70 degrees. Right where the setting says it should be. Your financial life works exactly the same way. If your blueprint is set to struggle, you will find a way to get back to struggle no matter how much money comes in. If your blueprint is set to comfort but not rich, you will unconsciously sabotage anything that tries to push you past that ceiling. The money is never the problem. The thermostat is the problem where the blueprint comes from. Your blueprint was written in 3 ways, and none of them required your permission. First, the words you heard. Every sentence spoken about money in your home when you were a child became a law in your subconscious. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. Our kind doesn't live like that. These weren't just phrases. They were programming, and they are still running right now in the background of every financial decision you make. Second, what you watched. Children don't learn primarily from words, they learn from observation. The way your father handled a bill, the look on your mother's face when money was tight, the tone people used when talking about wealthy neighbors, you absorbed all of it. And statistically, you now manage money almost identically to the parent you felt most emotionally bonded to. Third, specific moments. One experience, one emotionally charged moment can wire a permanent belief. Watching a parent lose everything, being humiliated about money in front of others, seeing wealth destroy a relationship. These moments created equations in your subconscious. Money equals pain. Money equals loss. Money equals danger. And your brain, designed to protect you from pain, has been steering you away from those things ever since. Without your conscious knowledge, here is the hardest thing Eker says in this entire section, and I want you to sit with it. Your blueprint is not your fault, but it is now your responsibility. You didn't choose these beliefs, but you are the only one who can change them. And the moment you know that, the moment you stop outsourcing your financial destiny to your past, is the moment everything becomes possible. Part 2. The 17 Wealth Files, the 17 Differences. This is the core of the book. 17 documented, observable differences in how wealthy people think versus how poor and middle-class people think. Eker calls them wealth files, mental files you can choose to install and run in place of the old ones. We're going through all 17. Stay with me because somewhere in this list you will recognize yourself. And that recognition is the beginning of the reset. 1. Rich people believe, I create my life. Poor people believe, life happens to me. This is the axis everything else rotates around. Wealthy people are authors of their story. Struggling people are characters in someone else's. Every time you blame the economy, your employer, your family, your government, you are surrendering your power. Not just philosophically, neurologically, because the brain cannot simultaneously hold, I am a victim and I am building something. Those two programs cannot run at the same time. Choose which one runs. Declaration: I create the exact level of my financial success. I am responsible to. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play not to lose. If your entire financial strategy is built around don't go broke, you've already lost, because you're optimizing for the floor, not the ceiling. Rich people set audacious financial targets and then work backward from them. They are not reckless, they are directional. Their compass points toward abundance, not away from scarcity. Those are not the same direction. Know which way you are facing. Declaration: my goal is to have massive wealth and abundance. I play to win. 3. Rich people are committed to being rich. Poor people want to be rich. Wanting is a feeling. Commitment is a decision. Almost everyone wants to be rich. That desire is nearly universal. But wanting without commitment produces fantasy, not results. Commitment means you restructure your time around wealth building even when it's inconvenient. You make the investment even when it's uncomfortable. You stay when every excuse tells you to quit. That gap between wanting and committing is where most financial dreams die quietly. Declaration: I am committed to being rich. I will do whatever it takes as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical. 4. Rich people think big. Poor people think small. Eker makes a point here that I find genuinely confronting. Small thinking is not humility, it is selfishness. If you have a real gift and you hide it out of fear, out of modesty, out of who am I to, you are depriving the world of something it needs. The size of your vision determines the size of your impact, and the size of your impact determines the size of your reward. You don't get paid for hard, you get paid for the value you create. Create bigger value. Declaration: I think big. I choose to help thousands and thousands of people. 5. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles. Same market crash. One person sees catastrophe, another sees the buying opportunity of a decade. Same job loss. One person sees disaster, another sees the forced start they've been procrastinating on for 3 years. The difference is not in the event, it's in the perceptual filter. And filters can be trained. Every morning, ask one question instead of the usual. Where is the opportunity here? Watch what your brain finds when you give it that instruction. Declaration: I focus on opportunities. I look for the open door. 6. Rich people admire other rich people. Poor people resent them. This is the most culturally loaded of the 17, especially in societies where visible wealth is viewed with suspicion. And ECR's point is neurological. You cannot attract what you resent. If deep down you believe wealthy people are corrupt or morally inferior, your subconscious will resist making you one of them. It will self-sabotage every time you get close. The reprogramming is simple but powerful. When you see someone thriving financially, your new default thought is good for them. What can I learn? Admiration opens. Resentment locks. Declaration: I admire rich and successful people. I bless them and their wealth. 7. Rich people associate with positive, successful people. Poor people associate with negative people. You are the average of your environment, not just the 5 people closest to you, but the conversations you're in, the content you consume, the rooms you choose to enter. Eker says, the fastest way to upgrade your financial blueprint is to spend time around people who already have a higher one, not to network for transactions, but because environments are contagious. Success becomes normal. And when success becomes normal to your nervous system, your subconscious stops treating it as threatening or foreign. Declaration: I associate with successful, positive people. I choose to be in rooms that challenge and elevate me. 8. Rich people are willing to promote themselves. Poor people think negatively about selling. There are brilliant people dying in obscurity right now because they have a deep psychological aversion to being seen. They believe self-promotion is arrogant, uncomfortable. Beneath them, ECRs reframe. If you genuinely believe in the value of what you offer, and that value would genuinely help people, then refusing to promote it is the selfish choice. You are protecting your ego at the expense of people who need what you have. Rich people promote without apology. They understand that marketing is not manipulation, it is communication. And communication is how value finds the people who need it. Declaration: I promote my value with passion and pride. 9. Rich people are bigger than their problems. Poor people are smaller than their problems. The goal is never to have a life with no problems. That life does not exist. The goal is to grow yourself into someone for whom today's problems are small, because as you grow, your capacity grows. The crises that once paralyzed you become inconveniences. The risks that once terrified you become calculations. Eker says it directly. Your wealth will never exceed your personal development. If you want a bigger financial life, become a bigger person. Not in ego, in capacity, in resilience, in skill. Declaration, I am bigger than any problem. I can handle anything. 10. Rich people are excellent receivers. Poor people are poor receivers. Watch what happens when someone compliments you. Do you receive it? Thank you. I worked hard for that. Or deflect it. Oh, it was nothing. Anyone could do it. Eker says deflecting is not modesty. It is a subconscious rejection of value, and the universe, your network, your market, your opportunities takes note. If you consistently signal you are not worthy of receiving, you create a life that confirms it. Rich people receive money, compliments, opportunities, and help with full grace. That openness is itself an act of abundance. Declaration, I am an excellent receiver. I am open to receiving massive amounts of wealth. 11. Rich people choose to get paid based on results. Poor people choose to get paid based on time. A salary is a ceiling. When you trade time for money, your income is limited by the hours available to you. Rich people structure their compensation around results, outcomes, and value created, not time invested. This is why entrepreneurs, commissioned salespeople, investors, and creators can earn in 1 month what a salaried employee earns in a year. It's not magic. It's a different relationship with risk and reward. Eker says, if you are not willing to be paid on results, you are announcing to the world that you don't fully believe in your own value. That's a belief worth examining. Declaration, I choose to get paid based on my results and the value I provide. 12. Rich people think both. Poor people think either or. Can I be rich and spiritual? Can I have a successful career and a great family? Can I build wealth and enjoy my life? Poor thinkers say, you can't have both. You have to choose. Rich thinkers refuse that premise. They ask, how can I have both? And that single shift from or to and opens an entirely different set of solutions. The either or mindset is rooted in scarcity. The both mindset is the beginning of abundance thinking. Language is the operating system of thought. Change the word. Change the world, you see. Declaration. I always think both. I can be rich and happy, successful and fulfilled. 13. Rich people focus on their net worth. Poor people focus on their working income. Most people measure their financial health by their monthly paycheck. Rich people measure theirs by net worth, the total accumulation of all assets minus all liabilities. This metric shift changes everything. When you optimize for net worth, you stop spending on things that drain it and start building things that grow it. You stop thinking month to month and start thinking in decades, Eker says. Know your net worth. Track it. Update it monthly, because what you measure, you manage. And what you consistently manage, you grow. Declaration, I focus on building my net worth, I know my number, and I watch it grow. 14. Rich people manage their money well. Poor people mismanage their money. Studies show lottery winners who were poor before their win are statistically likely to be poor again within 5 years. Athletes who earn tens of millions are frequently bankrupt a decade after retirement. The income changed. The blueprint didn't. Eker's argument is airtight. The habit of managing money well must be built before the large sums arrive. Because how you handle $100 is exactly how you will handle $1 million at a larger scale. He introduces his famous jar system. Allocate every dollar you earn into specific accounts: necessities, financial freedom, education, play, long-term savings, giving, even if the amounts are small. The habit is what matters. The universe sends more to those who demonstrate they can handle what they already have. Declaration, I am an excellent money manager. Every dollar I receive is used with intention. 15. Rich people have their money. Work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money. This is the difference between a salary and a portfolio, between trading time for money and building systems that generate money while you sleep. Rich people build assets, businesses, real estate, investments, intellectual property, things that produce income independent of their direct presence. Poor people rely entirely on exchanging their hours for dollars, which means the moment they stop working, the income stops too. The goal is not to stop working, it is to build something that works even when you don't. Start with one stream, even a small one. The discipline of building it is more valuable than the income it generates in the early stages. Declaration: my money works hard for me. I build assets that generate income around the clock. 16. Rich people act in spite of fear. Poor people let fear stop them. Eker is precise on this. Rich people are not fearless. They feel fear, sometimes intensely. The difference is they have developed the understanding that fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that something matters, that growth is available on the other side. And the appropriate response to growth being available is not retreat. It is forward movement, with the fear present but not in control. He says the 4 most expensive words in any person's financial vocabulary are, "I'll do it later," because later is where potential goes to wait and eventually to die, with complete plausible deniability. Declaration: I act in spite of fear. I act in spite of doubt. I act in spite of inconvenience. 17. Rich people constantly learn and grow. Poor people think they already know. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Bill Gates takes 2 dedicated think weeks per year doing nothing but reading and reflecting. The wealthiest people on earth are, almost without exception, obsessive learners, not for credentials, for edge. Because in a world that changes as fast as this one, the person who stops learning has already started falling behind, even if they don't feel it yet. Eker says, your income rarely exceeds your personal development. You want to earn at level 10? Grow to level 10. There is no shortcut around this. There is only the work and the joy of doing it. Declaration: I am committed to constantly learning and growing. My mind is my most valuable asset. Part 3, the practice. How to actually reprogram the blueprint. Knowing the 17 differences is the map, but maps don't move you, legs do. So how do you actually reprogram a blueprint that has been running for decades? Eker gives a 4-step process, and the order matters. The reprogramming framework. Step 1, awareness. You cannot change what you cannot see. Start noticing your automatic thoughts and emotional reactions around money, not judging them, just watching them. When you feel anxiety looking at your bank account, notice that. When you feel guilt after a purchase, notice that. When you deflect a compliment about your work, notice that. These reactions are data points pointing directly to your blueprint. Step 2, understanding. Once you see the pattern, trace it back. Where did this belief come from? Who taught it to you? What experience locked it in? This is not therapy, it is archaeology. You're digging to find the moment the code was written, so you can look at it as a historical artifact rather than a permanent truth. Step 3, separation. This is the step most people skip and the most important. You say to yourself clearly and deliberately, this belief is not me. It is a program installed without my consent by people who were themselves running old programs. I am not my conditioning. I am the one who can observe it. That distance between you and the pattern is where freedom lives. Step 4, reconditioning. Replace the old file with a new one, through declarations spoken aloud daily with feeling, through intentional exposure to new environments and new people, through action taken before you feel ready, because action before readiness is the only thing that teaches the nervous system that the new belief is safe. You don't think your way to a new blueprint? You act your way there. Eker is careful to say, this is not a weekend seminar. Decades of conditioning don't dissolve in a day, but they do dissolve consistently over time through intentional repetition. The compound effect works on beliefs the same way it works on money. The jar system, the most practical tool in the book. Before we close, I want to talk about the most immediately actionable thing in this entire book, because it's also the most overlooked, Eker's jar system. 6 accounts, 6 purposes. Every dollar you earn gets allocated deliberately, immediately, across these 6 categories. Financial freedom account, 10%. This money is never spent. Never. It is invested, grown, and used only to generate more passive income. This jar is sacred. It is the seed of your financial freedom. Long-term savings for spending 10% for large purchases, a car, a house, a business investment. This is not an emergency fund. It is intentionalaccumulation.com. Education, 10%. Books, courses, mentors, seminars. Investment in your own growth. Because your most valuable asset is not in a bank, it is between your ears. necessities 55%, rent, food, utilities, essential expenses, the majority of your income managed deliberately. Play 10%. This jar exists specifically to be spent completely every month on pure enjoyment, not guilt. Not savings, enjoyment, because Eker understands that a life with no pleasure is not sustainable, and unsustainable systems fail. Give 5%, tithing, charity, generosity, because the act of giving opens a psychological channel in the mind that signals abundance rather than scarcity. You cannot give from a place of lack and then expect to receive in abundance. The percentages are less important than the habit. Even if you start with $10 total across 6 jars, you're building the architecture of a wealthy person's relationship with money, and the architecture always precedes the volume. We've covered the entire book, the blueprint, the 17 wealth files, the reprogramming framework, the jar system, but I want to leave you with something that isn't in the book, something I want you to feel rather than just understand. Every single framework in this video rests on one foundational belief: that you are not fixed. That the person you are today, with all their financial habits, fears, and ceilings, is not the final version. That the blueprint, however deeply it was written, can be rewritten by you deliberately. Starting now, that is not wishful thinking, it is neuroscience. The brain has plasticity well into adulthood. New neural pathways can be formed at any age. New emotional associations can be built. New identities can be inhabited, not by pretending, but by practicing consistently until the new becomes more familiar than the old. Eker's most important line in the entire book is not about money at all. It is this: the only way to permanently change the temperature in the room is to reset the thermostat. In the same way, the only way to change your level of financial success is to reset your financial thermostat, otherwise known as your money blueprint. You now know the thermostat exists. You now know where it is. You now know how to reach it. The next move is yours, not tomorrow, not when conditions are better, not when you feel more ready. Now, because the only difference between the person you are today and the person you want to become is the decision to begin. If this video changed something in you even slightly, share it, not for the algorithm, for someone in your life who is quietly stuck going through the motions. Working hard, but running in place. They need this conversation more than they know. Subscribe, and see you in the next video.